This is VFL Weekly Wrap for round 20. I went to 3 games, but first the other results. Friday afternoon at Arden Street saw Footscray beat North Melbourne by 46 points. 12-25-97 to 7-9-51. Footscray kicked 5 goals 10 in the last quarter. Their 25 points, 10 of them were rush behinds. At one stage, they kicked 11 behinds in a row. Footscray smashed them in marks, clearances and inside 50s. A crap way for North Melbourne to basically finish their season. They've lost 5 in a row now. Footscray lost the week before, but this win's not going to get them in the finals now, so they're out as well. Now, the game at Fankhaus Reserve saw a belting. Brisbane belted Southport by 98 points. 18-23, 131 to 49-33. Brisbane should have won by a lot more. 3 goals 9 in the last quarter. All the stats were even except inside 50s. Brisbane won that by 24. It's safe to say that this is Southport's biggest ever loss at home, and that has ruled them out of the finals, so Brisbane have knocked them out. The two powerhouses won't be playing finals. Now, a game at North Hobart Oval saw Tasmania knock off Werribee by 12 points. 14-14-98 to 12-14-86. Tasmania had 90 more possessions, 32 more marks, 25 more tackles. Werribee had 30 more hit-outs and 14 more clearances. Tasmania have 4 wins and 1 loss at North Hobart Oval. They'll be in the finals. This result didn't matter for Werribee because they finished second. They had another debutant play because Will Elliott pulled out before the game. They've had 18 debutants this year. It's amazing. I saw this bit on the live stream. St Kilda upset Carlton by 7 points at Moorabbin. 9-14-68 to 8-13-61. Carlton in front for 107 minutes. St Kilda for 12 minutes. St Kilda came home with the win. Kicked 3 goals 7. It was enough. That has destroyed Carlton's finals chances. Carlton needed to win that. Now, Blacktown, GWS got a much-needed win against Gold Coast by 13 points. A shootout here. 21-7, 133 to 18-12, 120. GWS slammed on 11 unanswered goals to lead by 52 points. The Suns came back at them, but it was too late. Now, for them, Jared Witts, 29 possessions, 7 clearances, 63 hit-outs. Ben Jepson, 37 possessions and a goal. Now get this. Look at this for a hit-out count. The Suns won the hit-outs 84-5. That is unbelievable. That is ridiculous. Obviously, GWS didn't have a ruckman. I've never seen a bigger discrepancy than that in my life. It's a much-needed win for GWS. They're inside the top 10. The Suns, well, they just can't win a game. As I said, I went to 3 games. I double-headed Saturday. Saw an absolute thriller at Windy Hill. Essendon knocked off Collingwood by a point. 10-15-75 to 11-8-74. Essendon 2 goals to 1 in the first quarter. They kicked 4 goals to 1 in the second quarter. Then Collingwood, unbelievable third quarter. 7 goals 3 to 1 goal 2 to open up a 17-point lead. But Collingwood went to sleep. Well, they basically shat the bed, didn't they? Essendon just dominated the last quarter. 3 goals 6 to 1 goal. Now for Essendon, Jade Grisham kicked 4 goals, including the winning goal. Nick Cox 2. For Collingwood, Jack Buller 4. Max Mahoney 3. For Essendon, Elias Sardis, 31 possessions, 7 clearances. Xavier O'Neill, 26 touches, 7 tackles and a goal. Jade Grisham, 24 possessions, 5 clearances. He kicked 4 goals 3. For Collingwood, Josh Brown, 27 touches. Jacob Ryan, 25. Oscar Falkhead, 25. Essendon had 16 more inside 50s, 27 more marks. Collingwood won the free kick count, 26-14. Essendon were 20 points up at halftime. They looked pretty good. But Essendon, they didn't come out of the race in the third quarter. Collingwood slammed on 5 goals in a row in the first half of that third quarter, and they were absolutely all over them. In general, I thought Essendon were a better team. The last quarter, that last 15 to 20 minutes of that last quarter was all Essendon. Collingwood couldn't get it out of there. Couldn't get it past the centre. They went too defensive too early, too quickly, and they paid the penalty. From the 13-minute mark to the end, it was Essendon 2 goals, 5-0. They just dominated everything. Gresham kicked the winning goal at the 28-minute mark. There was probably 1.5 minutes left, maybe. Now, Essendon have won 5 in a row. They probably have to win their last game to make it now. Collingwood have lost 2 games by a point. And then I travelled to North Port Oval and got there at halftime. Port Melbourne, Richmond. It was a good game. Port Melbourne winning that by 14 points. 13-9-87 to 11-7-73. Richmond jumped them in the first quarter, 5 goals to 1. Port 3 goals to 2 in the second. Now the third quarter is entertaining. Port 5 goals 1 to 3-3. In the last quarter, it was all Port Melbourne, 4-2 to 1-2. For Port Melbourne, Tom Hurd, he kicked 4. Josh Tovey, Alex Tonelli, and Dom Bedendo kicked 2 each. For Richmond, Harry Armstrong 4. Jay DeVarlet, Liam Fawcett, and Jasper Elgar each kicked 2. So that man again for Port Melbourne, Ben Hobbs, 28 possessions. Lachlan Rankin, 26. For Richmond, Ollie Houghton, 20 touches, 11 tackles. Sam Philp, 22 possessions, 8 tackles, 7 clearances. It was a very high free kick count, 55 free kicks combined. Richmond in front for 88 minutes, Port Melbourne for 29 minutes. The stats were even. Port kicked the first goal of the game, and Richmond actually kicked the next 7. They were 32 points up at one stage, but Port lifted. They lifted in the last 10 minutes of the game when the game was on the line. Their season was on the line. They kicked 3-1-0. One of the highlights was Dom Bedendo's fantastic mark in that last quarter and excellent finish. They gutsed it out, Port Melbourne. It looked like Richmond were going to get them. Port Melbourne were definitely favourites, but Richmond gave them a hard game. The urgency of the situation just made Port Melbourne a bit more accountable. They did well there. It was a good game of football. I thought it was a disappointing crowd, to be honest. I thought they would have got more people there, but it was a good game of footy. Port Melbourne kept their finals hopes alive. Richmond have lost 8 in a row. They can't win a game. Port have won their last 7 games in a row at home, and they probably have to win again to make it because their percentage is poor. Now, the game, I went to Point Gellibrand on Sunday. High stakes game, and Coburg beat Williamstown, the home team. They won by 15 points, 9-9-63 to 6-12-48. Coburg had to win in the first quarter, 3 goals 2 to 1 point. Willie 3 goals 2 to 1-2 in the second. This is where the game was won, in my opinion, the third quarter. They had to win Coburg, but they absolutely dominated Williamstown. 5 goals 4 to 3 behind to take a 38-point lead, and it was game over. Williamstown came home with it, but they didn't do much. They doubled their score in that last quarter, 3-6 to 1 point. Now for Coburg, Matt Ellison and Jane Stevenson kicked 2 each. For Williamstown, Callan Dawson, he kicked 5 goals. 5 of their 6 goals. Amazing. Now for Coburg, Lachlan Walker, 29 possessions, 7 marks. Cooper Keogh, 21 possessions, 11 clearances, 23 hitouts. Joel Trudgeon, 11 tackles. For the Seagulls, Jack Reiser, he was very good again. Most experienced player on that team. He's probably their best kick as well. 33 possessions, 8 marks. Jack Toner, 28 possessions, 7 clearances. Alex Murkoff dominating the ruck, 52 hitouts. But I think Cooper Keogh got him around the ground. Now, strangely, the wind was blowing towards the beach end. It usually blows to that city end, but it blew the other way. It was a strong wind. It was pissing down raining. Very overcast. Understandably, it was a poor crowd attendance. I don't know if it was 1,000 people or not, to be honest. It was hard to tell because they must have all been in their cars or under a roof or under a tree or something. But it was a physical game. 53 free kicks combined. Coburg were in front all the way. Coburg deserved the win there. As twice they've beaten Williamstown this year now. And they've got 1 foot in the finals now, the Burgers. Williamstown probably have to, they have to win their last game. They have to win their last game to make it. If they lose, they're done. They're just outside the top 10. Like I said, excellent game from Coburg. That third quarter, they absolutely obliterated the Towners. They just couldn't get the ball. They probably should have led by more. Obviously, Williamstown threw everything at them in the last quarter, but it was too late. Coburg just defended very, very well. And to only give up 48 points at Williamstown is exceptional. Head-to-head, Williamstown lead 87-71. At Point Gellibrand, we lead 42-30. Coburg, they were 1-4 at the bottom of the ladder. They've won 9 of their last 12 games to sit inside that top 10. Williamstown, surprisingly, not so great at home. 5 wins, 4 losses at home. They're at home again next week. They're going to have to win. Interesting game. Now, the goal kickers. Looks like Corey Elson's going to win the goal kicking, 49. Mitch Pajeski, 46. Brady Wright, 45. Brody McLaughlin, 45. Jane Stevenson, 41. The all-important ladder. Geelong, 15 wins. Werribee, 12.5. They've got the top 2. Box Hill, 11. Sydney, 10.5. Tasmania, 10.5. Those 5 teams are guaranteed finals. The other teams can finish anywhere inside the top 4, top 5 or whatever and finish outside it or finish 12th. Now, there are 5 teams. There are 5 teams on 10-7. 10 wins, 7 losses. I go by percentage. Frankston, 106. Coburg, 103. GWS, 101. Essendon, 99. Port Melbourne, 95. Williamstown, 9.5 wins outside it. Carlton, 9 wins. Their percentage is 110, which is good. They have to win their last game and hope a couple of those teams above them lose. All the other teams, I'll go through them quick. The other teams that can't make it, Sharks 8.5, Footscray 8, St Kilda 7.5, Collingwood 7, North Melbourne 6.5, Casey 6, Brisbane 5, Sandy 4, Richmond Suns 3. The final round, it's a full program, 11 games. Now, 7 games are on Saturday. I don't know how they did this fixturing, to be honest. Ridiculous. Brisbane play the Suns. Who cares? I'm going to Coburg Southport, 12.05. Willie Frankston at 12. The loser might miss out. The winner will play finals. Coburg Sharks. I think Coburg will still make it, but they need to win to probably host the final. Now, Essendon plays Sydney at 1 o'clock at Windy Hill. That's a high-stakes game. Sydney for top 4, Essendon for finals. Hard to predict that game. Port Melbourne, Collingwood at 2 o'clock at Port Melbourne. Port have to win. There's no doubt in my mind, if they lose that game, they're not playing finals. Because I reckon one of Carlton or Essendon Carlton or Willie's going to win. They need to win. Werribee Sandy at 2 o'clock. I'm going to that one as well. Well, I'm going to double bang it. Hit Coburg Southport. Maybe leave at 3/4 time and hit the second half of Werribee Sandy. Trying to hit all their home games this year. Richmond St Kilda's at Moorabbin. Who cares? There's 4 games on Sunday. Box Hill Casey. Important one for Box Hill. They have to win to get 3rd spot. North Melbourne Geelong. Footscray Carlton. Carlton need to win. 10:30. GWS Tasmania at 9:35. High stakes game. It's at 9:30. Ridiculous. No buys. And another thing about North Melbourne, Arden Street. It was run by me that they had that temporary fencing up at that ground. Why? So no one can step on it. They're worried about the AFLW. They play at a stupid time, 5 o'clock after lunch. Maybe they look for another ground to play on. Why play on that Friday afternoon when you can't make finals? You're playing on a ground that had temporary fencing that no one can get into. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. How are fans supposed to watch the game? Why even host a game on Arden Street? Play somewhere else. That's lazy and pathetic. Ridiculous when I saw that. The temporary fencing up. Makes no sense. That was just shit. What a last round. So much permutations, so much to go through. But I won't get into that. See you next time.